Hey, and welcome back to the channel. If you're looking to get a TV to satisfy your next-gen gaming needs, whether you've already bought or you're planning to buy a PS5 or Xbox Series X, before I get into my personal top picks, if you're just shopping around, let me tell you the 3 things that you really need to be looking for. Side note, thank you for 100,000 subscribers. I will be shaving my beard to celebrate 100K as soon as my silver play button gets here. Consider subscribing so you don't miss that. So the 3 features that you need to look for are HDMI 2.1, variable refresh rate or VRR, and high dynamic range or HDR. Now, you've probably heard of some of these, if not all of these, but HDR, high dynamic range, is pretty much on all 4K TVs now, and obviously you are going to want a 4K TV for next gen. But what that means is there's brighter colors, a wider range of colors, and it just makes the image more punchier and pop more, which is amazing for gaming. Now, VRR, or variable refresh rate, is also a feature that's really meant just for gaming, so that's why you want it on your gaming TV. And basically that allows your TV to adjust when there's changes in frame rates in the game you're playing. So you'll really want that if you're playing PS5 or Xbox Series S or X, because when you're watching a movie or a TV show, you're watching it, it's just a set frame rate. It doesn't change. So you don't need to have a variable refresh rate. But if you're playing a game and you enter an area where there's a lot of things happening on screen and the frames cut out a little bit, what that variable refresh rate will do is adjust to the frames that are being displayed by the console. So instead of this really jarring change, it kind of takes you out of the game and makes you not want to play, it'll adjust to it a lot smoother, a lot better. So anytime you can take that, you obviously should. HDMI 2.1 is basically the new HDMI. Right now, standard HDMI on pretty much all your devices is HDMI 2.0. HDMI 2.1 is tough because it's actually not on a lot of TVs yet. Why is it better? What's the difference? Well, the difference is bandwidth. With the regular HDMI 2.0 that you're used to using, that bandwidth is about 18 gigabytes per second maximum. But with HDMI 2.1, you can get 48 gigabytes per second maximum, which is about almost 3 times the bandwidth. Now, why is that important? Well, with that additional bandwidth, you can get higher resolution, which means the games will look better, and higher refresh rates, which means the games will display and perform better. HDMI 2.1 also has features that are key for gaming that HDMI 2.0 does not have. One is automatic low latency mode, which is perfect for gaming because you're going to get the lowest input lag possible. And the other is dynamic HDR, as opposed to just regular vanilla HDR, which sometimes doesn't really seem like true HDR. One other thing about HDR you should know is that there's regular HDR10, then there's HDR10 Plus, which is supposed to be a little bit better, which is on a lot of Samsung TVs. And then there's also Dolby Vision, which again is better than just the vanilla HDR10. And a lot of TVs that have HDR10, if they're kind of more advanced for gaming, they also support HDR10 Plus or Dolby Vision. If the TV you're looking at just has HDR10, it might not be as crisp an image as some of those other TVs when you're playing games. Again, for movies and TV shows, you might not even be able to tell, but you might if you're gaming on it, which is why I highlighted 4 TVs on this list that has every single one of those features I just mentioned that I'm gonna walk you through depending on how much you wanna spend. But then at the end, I have 2 budget TVs that might not have 4K 120 hertz refresh rates like the others, but they do have 4K 60 frames per second, and they're a lot cheaper, and you're gonna have an amazing next-gen experience on them. If you haven't secured your console yet, don't worry. Every time a store comes in stock with a big restock, there's a video on this channel about it. You can also feel free to follow me on Twitter for console restock information. We've helped about 30,000 people secure their next-gen consoles so far on this channel. Can't wait to continue to do that. But let's get to the TVs, and if you're enjoying this video, feel free to drop a like and consider subscribing. Also, you should note that every TV I talk about in this video will be linked in the description if you'd like to purchase it. The hands down #1 best gaming TV out there right now for a reasonable price for the PS5 or the Xbox Series X is the LG OLED CX Series. So if you're not familiar with OLED TVs, they are different from LED. They're the OLED. And the picture quality is like a huge night and day. It's almost like from going from an old school tube TV up to an HD TV. That's the difference between LED and OLED. However, because of that, the price for an OLED is through the roof. So a 48-inch version of the LG CX is gonna be $1,500. A 65-inch version is gonna run you $2,200. That being said, this TV is built for gaming. It has NVIDIA G-Sync and FreeSync, which allows it to run 4K 120 Hertz with variable refresh rate, dynamic HDR through an HDMI 2.1 port with no screen tearing and the lowest input lag of any TV we're gonna talk about today. Any angle that you look at an OLED screen, it's gonna look picture perfect, sharp, bursting with quality. That's why it's so ideal for gaming, because no matter what position you're in, however you're comfortable, you're gonna get the best experience, the best picture quality. So if you're looking for a gaming TV with all the bells and whistles, just a hand down, definitive, best pick, money's no object, this is the TV that I would recommend. If that first TV was a little too expensive for you, my recommendation for the $1,000 price range would be the 55-inch Sony XBR X900H. You can also go up to the 65-inch, which is gonna run you $1,400, still pretty reasonable for that big of a TV. And the reason I recommend this TV for that price range is because the overall image quality is better. Now, it has HDMI 2.1, and the variable refresh rate is coming in a firmware update this spring, according to Sony. So it will have all the bells and whistles, the true 4K, the dynamic HDR, a 120 Hertz refresh rate. Sony's TV just is a little bit better for the mid-range class in terms of overall image quality, and that's why it's recommended here. A lot of people want to pair their Sony PS5 with a Sony TV. This is definitely the one I'd recommend. Before we get into the budget TVs, I have two more mid-range TVs that I really want to talk about. One is Samsung. We had to talk about a Samsung on this list. The best Samsung for next gen, in my opinion, is going to be the Samsung Q80 Series. Now, the Q90 might be better, but if you're paying the Q90 price, you should just get the LG OLED. That's why I'm not ranking every TV. I'm going to rank the best one for its price. So the Samsung has a 55-inch version for $1,300. They also offer a 65-inch for $1,800 that's on sale for $1,500, and it goes all the way up to 85 inches. But just like the Sony, this has all the bells and whistles you need for next gen, HDMI 2.1, variable refresh rate, and then it also supports HDR10 and HDR10 Plus for dynamic HDR. Similar to the LG that we talked about at the beginning, but different from Sony, this actually also supports NVIDIA G-Sync and FreeSync. Now, because of that, it's a little more expensive than the Sony. That's why the price is a little higher. I would put this in between the first two TVs we ranked, but if the name brand doesn't matter to you, if it doesn't have to say Sony or Samsung on it, I would really recommend a Vizio TV. Now, this is the budget option that has all the bells and whistles. So the 4K, 120 refresh rate, HDMI 2.1, everything you need. It's just a Vizio, it's not a Samsung. So it's gonna be a lot less expensive. So this is gonna be the Vizio PQ9 or the Quantum series. And this, for a 65-inch, is gonna run you $1,200, which is just $200 more than the 55-inch Sony and $600 cheaper than the Samsung we were just talking about. So honestly, if you want a TV that'll future-proof you, but you won't feel so guilty when 8K becomes more affordable, getting rid of this one or using it somewhere else in your house, this is definitely the TV I'd recommend, this fourth one right here. If those TV options were still way too much for you, if that $1,000 price range is maybe double what you would want to spend, it's just going to be at 60 Hertz, so you'll be able to play at 60 frames per second, which is perfectly acceptable, and it's still an amazing gaming experience. One that I really recommend is, again, Vizio, and then this time instead of the P Series, I'm looking at the Vizio M Series. For this, you can get a 55-inch TV for $500. If you want to go up to 65, that's $700. There is no HDMI 2.1 whatsoever, so those HDMI 2.1 features obviously doesn't have that. But it's a beautiful picture for this TV, and it is built with gaming in mind, just like the P Series, so I highly recommend it. There's only one other budget TV that I wanted to recommend, and that would be if you're playing your next-gen console in a bright room. So maybe in your living room where you have a lot of windows, the Hisense H8 Quantum series. And that 55-inch is going to be $530, so only $30 more than the Vizio M. The only difference is it is a lot brighter. So if you're in a well-lit room, this TV might look a little better for you. If you're in a dark room, definitely go the Vizio M, but if you're in a room that gets a lot of light, go with the Hisense H8. And that wraps up my video for my picks for the best TVs that you can get for next gen gaming, whether you're on a budget or you have some more money to spend. If you found this video helpful or useful, feel free to drop a like, consider subscribing, and I'm still doing those streams and restock videos as well. But I'm gonna incorporate some gaming stuff and some tech stuff just like this into the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.